Hi. I watched the behavior of my older daughter recently, and at some point I started realizing that I missed something. And today I checked autism on Google, and today I realized that my older daughter, who is 12 years old, she's autistic. She has problems with social interaction. Um, she It's difficult for her to maintain dialogues. Mm, she um, she doesn't take any initiative. She uh, she always waits for my instructions. Uh, and when we came to Canada, she turned 5 and she went to the kindergarten in Canada. And in student involved conferences, she never talked to a teacher. First, she didn't know English, but then her English improved, and even when she already could speak English, she still was silent. And I taught her how to maintain the dialogue. Uh, for example, before the first student involved conference with the teacher, we discussed her hobbies and interests, her likes and dislikes with her, so she could present her to a teacher. Then she usually played with a friend outside, but at some point she started talking on the phone, and I noticed that it was really a problem for my daughter to talk on the phone. So I started teaching her to maintain a dialogue on the phone. Um, I taught her sentences she could ask a friend. I taught her some ideas, some topics she could discuss. But I thought that these problems were just maybe personality problems of my daughter. My daughter needs for repetitive behaviors, but actually it was the same routine for any of my children. So when they wake up, they have the same routine. When they go to bed, they have the same routine. The only difference is that my son and my daughter, they can ask to read any fairy tale, but when I read fairy tales to my daughter when she was 3 4 years old, she asked me the same fairy tales. So before she went to sleep, I read the fairy tales at the same order every day. My daughter needs to know about the plans. She needs to know what should go next, but actually I used to discuss my plans with all my kids even when they are the babies. It's not a problem for me. I tell about the plans even to a baby. Now we will go to wash. Now we will go to eat. Oh, oh, now we will go outside. So, but I will start from the very beginning. When my daughter was born, she was absolutely normal. Um, from birth, she swam in the adult bathtub with a swim ring around the neck for the babies. Then she became older, she played with the growths. I always told her poems and rhymes. Uh, so When she was 1 year old, she started to pronounce words as all kids in this age. So everything uh, was normal, and she developed as a normal child to some point. Um, uh, when she was 8 months, I started working, and my mom came to us and she started sitting with my baby. And everything was relatively good until my daughter was 1 year, 8 months. She started to throw into uncontrolled tantrums. She started screaming for 30 minutes, and these screamings were twice a day, every day. And I will now move to my third daughter. So um, I spent all the time with my third daughter until I started working in 2023 in October at school. So she didn't have any tantrums, but then she started staying with my mom. And when I stopped working, I noticed the same behavior. She started throwing into tantrums. And I thought that those tantrums were connected with my mom. And it's another problem. So my son never threw into tantrums. So when a child observes the same routine, the same rules, and the same reaction to his behavior, to his or her behavior, so everything is common, usual, and familiar, a child never throws into tantrums, he can start crying, but it's easy to stop. There is no problem to stop this crying. Tantrums start when children see uh, different rules or different reaction to their behavior. So now I realize that for any child, it's a good idea to deal only with one adult, or these adults should share the same ideas about raising children. My mom and I never shared the same ideas. So my third child also used to have tantrums. Now everything is much better when we live apart. But those tantrums were different. When my third child starts crying, I can talk to her and she hears me. And I can switch her attention to something. But the situation was different with my older child. It was useless to talk to her during the tantrum. She didn't hear me. And even when she was 5 years old, I read one tip on the internet and I started asking questions. Is this problem big or small? All problems were too big for her. She couldn't even decide. She couldn't even think if the problem was big or small. She just didn't want to interact with me at all. And another difference, when all children start crying or screaming, they have tears. Even my baby, when he starts crying, he has tears. But when my daughter started to throw into those uncontrolled tantrums, she never had tears. She just screamed. So she what was different? Her speech. Yes, she pronounced words, she used words, but she used them until May, before she turned 3. So the speech was delayed. She started using sentences when she almost was 3 years old. So now I can state that autism is not a problem from birth. Something happened. Something happened, and it was related to my mom, with my mom. So we discussed the fear that goes from a man, and it leads to sociopathy. But we never discussed the fear which goes from a woman. I'm sure that my mom just scared my daughter, and she experienced the fear, and that fear caused the autism in her. So now I can state that autism is not a problem from birth. It's a problem caused by fear a child experiences when he or she is a baby or an early toddler. And this fear is caused by a woman. And the speech depends how much the baby was scared. It depends on the level of speech. My daughter is academically good. She has more excellent grades than good grades. So I can state that academic skills depend first on the speech, and second, they depend on the early education. And the main early educator is a mom of a baby. And either it's possible to control a child or not depends on the level of the personality's growth. It depends on whether a child has personality disorders or not, if a child is a psychopath or not. So autism is not a problem from birth. It's a result of fear caused by a woman. Thank you. Bye bye.